On today's Two on Your Side Town Hall, right now, dropping COVID coverage for the unvaccinated. It's a proposal from a local assemblyman. We'll hear from him and an attorney on whether or not this would stand up in court.
Plus, ahead of the holiday shopping season getting started, we're talking with a supply chain expert on where the hitches are in the system and how close we might be to the end of the tunnel.
And speaking of shopping, we'll help you get ahead of the online scammers as an FBI agent who leads this type of investigation here in Western New York will join us live in just a little bit.
And we thank you for being here on the town hall tonight. And we want to start with a focus on a tweet that got a lot of attention here in Western New York and around the state today.
It came from local Assemblyman Pat Burke. He represents West Seneca, Orchard Park, Lackawanna, and part of South Buffalo. He announced that he is introducing a bill in Albany that would let insurance companies deny coverage for unvaccinated people for treatments related to COVID. Early in the process here, so we don't even have an actual look at the bill yet.
But Burke tells us this wouldn't affect people who can't get a shot for medical reasons, though there would be no religious exemptions. He says this would apply to people who can get the shot and choose not to.
No one should be denied care. But the idea that the insurance pool, that everyone else, that COVID has cost us the government trillions of dollars, the idea that we would continue to pay for and cover the costs of people who are basically saying they refuse to take necessary treatments that don't just affect themselves, but put everyone else at risk. The idea that we as a society would still cover those people doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Burke says he expects, like everything else, if this passes, that it would get challenged in court. So we asked Two on Your Side legal analyst attorney Barry Covert about that. He says there could be a lot of issues here.
I think it would be challenged under numerous provisions under the Affordable Care Act. And I think that the insurance providers would have a difficult time implementing this, as would any hospital or any medical facility who is counting on getting reimbursed for the patient for the services that they provide based upon the insurance card that you provide. And I don't know how logistically they would handle trying to figure out ahead of time whether the insurance carrier would reimburse them for the expenses paid doing anything that could be considered to be COVID related for someone who's not vaccinated. So I think it would face a lot of legal challenges, and it would also have a number of logistical challenges.
And we mentioned this is early in the process. There's no Senate sponsor yet, and there are a lot of bills that get proposed and never even get to a committee vote, much less votes in the Senate and Assembly. Yeah,
Assemblyman Burke said there is a long way to go here, but he hopes this at least starts a conversation. And certainly on social media today, it did just that. Yeah. Let's turn now to another aspect of the pandemic that's really affecting every one of us, the many aspects of all the supply chain disruptions. There's a chance you're going to be feeling it particularly hard over the next few weeks because of the busy holiday shopping season.
And it doesn't seem like something that's going to be solved anytime soon. So we want to take a look at some of those issues tonight. And joining us once again live is Dr. Patrick Penfield, professor of supply chain management at Syracuse University's Whitman School of Management. Thanks again for coming back. We're glad to have you with us.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Dr. Penfield, the last time we had you on, we got so many messages from people who said they learned so much. So we've teed up a lot of questions for you again. Want to ask you first about all these issues that seem to be coming from the fact that there's this huge bottleneck of ships at California's major ports. That's where a lot of goods come from Asia. When we talked a month ago, the White House had just announced that they were going to be switching that to a 24/7 operation to try to help out. A month later, how is it looking there?
You know, we still have a backlog. There's roughly, as of yesterday, 79 container ships sitting outside the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles. So we really haven't seen the impact that we thought we were going to see as far as the relief from all the congestion at the ports. So they're still very heavily congested.
And then there are the issues once the goods actually get onshore. We've heard over and over again about the truck driver shortage. But a story on NBCnews.com today suggests it really isn't a shortage, that bad conditions and pay for truckers are really what's to blame here. So is that really the case, or is it maybe a combination of things here?
Yeah, I think that's probably a big majority of the case. So when a trucker goes into the port, they get paid by the load. And so the unfortunate thing is when they get to the port, their load may not be ready. So they have to wait and they have to sit. And so unfortunately, the truck driver doesn't get paid. And so that's the big issue. And that's the big dilemma. The incentive structure is really bad for truckers when they go into these ports to pick up their shipments. So yeah, that's part of it. And again, just the congestion with the warehouses and the ports, just trying to find things. So it doesn't really pay for a truck driver, believe it or not, to actually go in and get some of this freight.
One of the reasons that we wanted to talk to you to try to update our viewers on this, number one, it affects everybody watching, so we know that people have a lot of questions about it. But also, just a couple of days ago, there was this Wall Street Journal article, and the headline of it said, "Supply chain problems show signs of easing." And so it maybe gives a little bit of optimism, even though they say that these disruptions will likely continue into next year. Are you optimistic by some of the things you're seeing out there, or how do you kind of survey that?
Yeah, I'm more optimistic for first quarter and second quarter of next year, not this quarter, not fourth quarter. I think fourth quarter, we're still going to have our issues with shortages and price increases. But I do believe that there is relief on the horizon. And I truly think that probably first quarter, we'll start to see hopefully some prices start to level out. I think there'll be more availability of goods. In fact, I think there's going to be too much goods. And that's just because everybody's been building up stuff. And so I could see probably in the first quarter where there's going to be some great deals to be had, especially at the stores.
And we also wanted to get your perspective on something we talked about first at 5, which was the White House announcement of releasing 50 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. For the average person out there, what does that really mean? Do you see it bringing any relief, for example, at the gas pump, and maybe when could that happen?
Yeah, I think that's actually a great move by the White House. And again, they've coordinated this move with other countries. So the goal is, hey, to bring in more supply, and that will lower the price. So your average consumer probably will see the impact of that release probably in about 2 to 4 weeks. We're starting to see gas prices kind of, curve down a little bit, 5 to 10%. And I think, like I said, in 2 to 4 weeks, you'll probably see another 10, 15% drop in price.
Yeah, when we talk about inflation, which is what affects everybody watching right now, gas prices has been such a huge part of that. But bigger picture, how tied together are these supply chain problems? And that's why we're discussing this with you, with what people are actually paying, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that to a big extent, it is because of the supply chain issues. There also has been, uptick in demand. And this is why I feel like in the first and second quarter, things will start to come down. Demand will start to drop a little bit. And I think that'll allow the supply chain issues to kind of work themselves out. And then hopefully, like I said, we should start to see prices hopefully flatten out. I truly believe food prices will flatten out in the first quarter. So I'm hopeful that we'll start to see things come back to normal as far as food goes. Your cars are going to be another story. So I still think we're going to have issues with cars and some electronics probably till the end of 2022.
We've been chatting with Dr. Patrick Penfield. He teaches supply chain management at Syracuse University. Thanks again for being with us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Go Bills. I predict also that we are going to win Thursday night.
Love that prediction.
We like all the predictions today. Dr. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.